What's up, my good friends on YouTube? I am Paul Glasgow, Legally Armed America. Thank you guys for joining in with us. I am going to do the same thing as always as you guys enter the room. I try to update my screen and everything and get to the point where I can interact with you guys. So I'm pulling up my live stream right now so I can see who's in here. Wow, man, you guys are, how are y'all in the room so quick? It's like y'all are in the room before I'm in the room, and it's my room. That's crazy. Let's see, guys. Images by 2215 is in here, and I'll get to your question in a second. CK Trans is in here, or CK is in here. Trans, huh? I'll show you the whole shirt. Yeah. You'll get it. I will give you my thoughts on Benchmade here in a second. I put a video out on it this week. That'll be coming out. Richard Bartel's in here. Peter Akers in here. It's Friday already, Peter. Mickey Scott is in here. Brent Flash. Hey, Brent, what's up? Huge Ass Bears in here. Eric Davis, Ryan Westall, Richard Bartel. I said that already. Sarasota Shaners, Willie Dick. Jonathan Gibbons, Jay Griff, Dubai Antimano, Rosie O'Donnell. Greetings from Piglin Oink. Glenn Betts, what's up? Brian Rhodes, YNH, Ralph McDaniel. Douglas Smith is from Maricopa, Arizona in the house. Good to see you. And Ralph is from Florida. Nancy MR. Hey, Nancy, how's it going? Defend Waifu with Rayfu. 2A is in here. Brian Rhodes is in here. Let's see, a couple more, you guys, and then I'll get into what we're talking about today. We got kind of a lot of stuff to talk about, so I don't want to take Jason Fallon's in here. Ty J's in here. George Washington, Mickey Scott, Matt Doherty. Matt says this is his first time to view a live video. Looking forward to it. Yeah, you might enjoy it. I mean, we have some really good interaction here. A lot of we have tons of regulars on here right now, and it's just a great volley of information back and forth. It's interesting because you guys volley right there, but at the same time, we volley. I try to talk to you guys as much as I can, so good to see you guys. Chris Langley, your boy Chad at Killer Died took care of me getting me my Legally on America shirt quick. Good deal, good deal. Good to see that. YNH, thanks for the shout, of course. Let's see who else is on here. Galaxies 101, good evening to you as well. Guys, I'm going to get right into it. First of all, somebody asked already about my shirt. As you can see, it says trans, and of course it says caliber. And I guess I got to show you because it's got the ammo, and then it's got the Smokey and the Bandit eagle on it from his Trans Am, and then it's got one of my favorite characters ever, Rip Bandit, on the back of it. So yeah, this is my my new favorite shirt. I'm not sure if we're going to get the color of the shirt exactly right, because this is kind of a demo version of it that I'm lucky enough to be wearing for the first time ever. This shirt's been worn, but I'm hoping we get it close when we buy it and get it in bulk, so that anybody that wants it can get kind of this same whole theme. I really like the way the eagle on it looks. I mean, that is the exact same eagle that General Motors has on the Trans Am. So I love this thing. I mean, I friggin' love it. I mean, if you were born back in the day, and this Smokey and the Bandit was one of the greatest movies of all time back in the day. So it's I'm excited about it. So let's see. Yeah, man, Benchmade. How in the world does Benchmade take a dump in their own bed like they did? Who does that? Man, you know, the thing about it with Benchmade is that they would have been safe if they would have just done like the video that I put out and just quietly went about their business and cut the frickin' guns up. But by cutting guns up, whether or not you had a problem with them destroying guns, and let me very, very briefly refresh everybody's memory. Benchmade worked with the Oregon City Police Department up in Oregon, of course, and disassembled, dismantled, and destroyed several firearms that the police department was looking to destroy. What happened was the police department posted the video, or actually the pictures of the guns being destroyed, without apparently Benchmade's knowledge, or even worse, if it had Benchmade's knowledge, even stupider of a decision. But very, very quickly, Benchmade asked the Oregon Police Department to please take those posts down, because the blowback they were getting were unbelievable, or was unbelievable. The thing about it is, Benchmade could have done 100 other things besides cooperating with that. I did not understand exactly what they were deciding to do, but they did it, and nobody forced them to do it. Man, when you rely on so much of the gun community to buy your products, how do you take a dump on the gun community like that? You know, it's one of those things where I'm very conscious of what I do. In other words, with what I do here with videos and things like that, I try my best not to make stupid mistakes, because I know everybody's watching. Or I know, not everybody, I know people are watching. And I know there's anti-gun people that want me to screw up so bad. So I'm conscious of almost my every move. You know what I mean? I don't go out driving around town drinking beer and throwing bottles out windows at signs. I've done it before, but I don't do it anymore. All that crap is stuff that you got to watch what you're doing. You got to understand that you're being scrutinized, that whether you realize it or not, there's somebody watching you, and they're not watching you because they like you. They're watching you because they're waiting for you to slip up. When they did what they did, whether you agree with them helping the police department out or not, in terms of destroying the guns, you got to understand that it opens you up to a ton of other scrutiny. You know, one thing that I'll tell you, I've had people say, oh, you should have done a better job, you know, vetting your companies that you buy your knives from and all that. Look, guys, honestly, these are this is a very small portion of the guns that I have. Do you honestly think that I have the time to investigate every single gun manufacturer, knife manufacturer, ammo manufacturer that I either do business with or that I buy and purchase personally on my own? Do you think I can vet every single company and every single owner of a company, every single board member of the company to find out exactly what they do? No, you can't do that. But what happens is when a company like Benchmade makes a really stupid decision like that, yeah, what they did, you may not think is all that bad, because you may be thinking, oh, well, they're just doing their job. They're helping law enforcement out destroy these guns. That's fine. What you do is you open yourself up for people to vet you, because now you've stepped out of line. And now you've given people a reason to go, huh, I wonder if there's a reason why I should be concerned buying my knives from Benchmade. Guess what? There was a reason to be concerned. They've given to date $1.2 million to various lobbyists and politicians, 91% of that being Democrats. Now, you can say what you want about Democrats and Republicans are both equally bad. They are. But Democrats are inherently known historically for being anti-gun. So when you put 91% of your $1.2 million into the pockets of Democrats, you are telling me that you are not pro-gun. I don't care what you think and how they have voted in the past. Let me tell you something. Every Democrat in Washington, D.C., including Joe Manchin, who is the closest thing you have to a moderate Democrat, every single one of them will vote for an anti-gun bill when the time comes, if they're told to. Now, you hear what I'm saying? They may be getting their A rating from the NRA and everybody else for terms and decades upon decades. But it doesn't matter. When Nancy Pelosi comes knocking, you vote the way Nancy Pelosi tells you to. That's right. Even Joe Manchin is Nancy Pelosi's bitch. Make no mistake, you don't vote how you wish you could vote. I don't care if you ran on pro-gun policies before as a Republican or a Democrat. As a Democrat, you will vote the way Nancy Pelosi tells you to. And if you were in the Senate, Harry Reid would have put his little punk ass on you and made you vote the way he told you to. You do not vote the way you want to. It doesn't matter what your constituents want. You vote the way they tell you to. That's how Washington, D.C. works. Prove me wrong. Everyone knows that I'm right. You do not have an independent vote. You vote along party lines and you're told how to vote. Now, on the other hand, the Republicans, they're just out there all over the place. You got idiots like Marco Rubio who are putting forth their own anti-gun bills. So there's no concerted effort with the Republicans. They're more inclined to vote the way emotion is. It's like liberalism is creeping into some of these people like Marco Rubio. And if for some reason emotion is high in their area, like Marco Rubio's with the Parkland shooting, then they vote accordingly, right? That's how they lean. So these guys on the Democrat side, if you're going to funnel all your money over there, you have to understand that at some point your dollars will go to anti-gun campaigns. Now, again, I don't care if the person that you're funding or you're trying to help fund seems to be pro-gun, or if he's voted pro-gun his entire life. Guys, it doesn't matter. We have to understand how Washington, D.C. works. A Democrat is not in control of his or her own vote. That's just a fact. That's not my opinion. Obamacare, it gutted America. There were Democrats all over the country that didn't want that, but they voted for it overwhelmingly. So Benchmade has put a lot of money out there, and they've lined a lot of pockets with your money. You know, I've had people that watch my video that said, that's not your money. You know, that's not your money. That's Benchmade's money. You know, you bought the gun, or excuse me, you bought the knife, and they used the profits to do whatever they wanted. That's how capitalism works. I agree. Still my money. It may not have been my money at that time, but they were spending money they took from me that I voluntarily gave them. This is a free enterprise capitalist system that I voluntarily gave to them, but I gave it to them in good faith. Yes, in good faith. Because when we buy things as consumers, guys, this is going to be a very quick example of how economics and free enterprise works. When we buy things, for the most part, Americans buy things, they are buying things in good faith, thinking that the company that they're putting that money into their pockets is going to do things with that money in a positive way. Let me give you an example. If you bought something, let's use makeup for an example, because makeup is really weird, because makeup, I don't understand how people still buy makeup. I'm glad some of our wives are still buying makeup, but you see what I'm saying. They've tested makeup on animals for years. Heck, some makeup's made with animals. I mean, it's just a fact. But if you know that they're torturing and killing animals to make your makeup, you're probably not going to make that anymore, right? You know what? I'm not going to use this as an example because I don't want to gross anybody out. I'm gonna move on from that because I have a thought that I don't want to piss anybody off. Let's just say that Benchmade made some decisions that they probably shouldn't have made, and they are going to have to lie in their own bed at this point, because I'm not going to be the one that bails them out, guys. I'm not in favor of boycotting people. I don't try to tell my friends, and I consider you guys my friends, I don't try to tell my friends how they should spend their money. I do kind of say how you should vote sometimes, but that's only because I'm so adamant about, hey, let's get some of these people out of office. But I try not to tell my friends how to spend their money, because I don't like people telling me how to spend my money. I really don't. I honestly don't. I don't like whenever somebody dances in my face and tells me I should boycott something. That's a decision I feel like I'm educated enough to make on my own. So I don't need you telling me what I should do. And I'm not telling people to boycott Benchmade. What I'm saying is maybe you should ask Benchmade to answer some of their own questions. What's funny is by them stepping out of line and getting people to start asking questions about them as a company and about why they lean so to the left and why they're so anti-gun and liberal, a lot of information has come out. I've seen local people from the Oregon area that have messaged me and emailed me and told me how liberal and how left-leaning the owners of Benchmade are, and how they're looking at us out here that aren't in the Oregon area going, how did you not know this? We all know this. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's interesting. Benchmade, I heard today, I had somebody message me and saying that I didn't realize they had government contracts. Somebody said that their government contracts are going to be enough to keep them afloat. They messaged me and told me that. I didn't know that they had government contracts. I knew that they sold to, you know, some government, I say government people, some military people bought from them, but I assumed it was only because of, you know, they like their knives. I know they cater to law enforcement, but they said it didn't matter if all law enforcement and commercial went away, that they had enough military business to keep them afloat. You know what? If that's the case, that's fine. You know who used to think that they didn't need the commercial market or the public market before, and they found out the hard way? Colt. Colt Firearms could have cared less about the commercial market for many, many years. Colt didn't care about us. Colt really didn't. I mean, I'm not saying Colt's bad, but Colt didn't care about the consumer market. They could give two rats' ass for that. They had so much wrapped up in their military markets and their military contracts. Dude, look, if they sold, 200,000 guns to commercial people, it didn't matter to them. They had so much markup built into their military contracts. They had it built in. There was so much money they were making. They were selling so many guns. It was like, it's almost like they didn't want to be bothered with the commercial market. Then all of a sudden their military contracts went away. And they spent probably a good 3, maybe 4 years sucking because the military wasn't buying their stuff and consumers weren't buying their stuff. Name recognition was the only thing selling Colt guns for a long time. And then a couple of years ago, Colt decided to now put blue grips on a couple of 1911s, make a match grade 1911. They decided to start doing things with their 1911s and even some of their AR-15s, and mostly the 1911s, to appeal to the consumer market because their military contracts had all but dried up at that point. Now they started to care. That's what's going to happen to Benchmade. Benchmade's, they're going to start caring at some point if they don't go bankrupt before then. Because the blowback that I've seen from Benchmade crapping in their own bed this past week is massive. Is massive, guys. They have a lot of damage control to do. So let's just say that I've bought my last Benchmade knife forever. And it's a very good chance that I may never buy another one because I was always a fan of their quality. As I say in my video, if you haven't watched the video, you ought to take a look at it. I was always a fan of their quality because they did make good knives. Until I found Southern Grind. I'm a big fan of Southern Grind now. This is one of my favorite blades that I carry. It's got a carbon fiber handle. And it's got a Damascus looking blade. That is, of course, not true Damascus steel. And that's another long, long story. But this is one of my favorite knives. I carry a couple of different Benchmades. Southern Grinds. I like the clip on theirs. I love this clip. I like the lock. If you know anything about knives, you'll know that the lock on that thing, the percentage of lock where this thing, the actual lock goes into the blade itself, is nice the way it locks over right there. It's not an overlock or an underlock. It's perfect. Everything is real positive about it when it goes back into place. It goes back in nicely. When you try to get it out, it comes out nicely and it locks in really, really positively. Big fan of these knives. I have been for about a year, about 13 or 14 months now. And just so happened that Benchmade pretty much solidified my decision to never use their products again. A couple other things that I want to go over real quick. Let's see. I've put some, I think we've talked pretty much in detail about a couple of the bills coming out. H.R. 8, which is the one of the background check bill. HR 112. That is another enhanced background check bill. These things are being fast-tracked to the floor, by the way. From what I understand, next week, a couple of these bills are probably going to be voted on the House floor and will pass and go to the Senate. There is another bill, though. Let's see. Where is it, guys? That would vary. HR 1112. We haven't talked about that. I'm gonna probably put a video out on that tomorrow. HR 1112 is a kind of nasty bill. Without going into it, because I tried putting this information on my podcast the other day, and by having no visuals and no calendar, that's right, a calendar. I need a calendar as a prop. By not having a calendar in there as my prop, it was so hard on my podcast to explain what was going on that I actually confused myself talking about it. I'm going to probably do this video tomorrow where I'm going to film in detail what HR 1112 is, but I'll have a visual, a calendar, so you can see where the dates overlap and extend with our current background check system and the HR 1112 system that's actually going to be using business days instead of calendar days. I know that sounds like a small thing, but whenever you create that window and your business days go over, say, 10 business days, that could be easily, very easily, 14 to 16 with no holidays in there, 14 to 16 calendar days. 10 business days can be extended to 16 business days. If you've got a holiday in there also, then you can actually take 10 business days and make it 17 calendar days. Our current background check system uses a calendar day system. Again, I'm probably already sounding confusing, but that's why I'm going to use props to put my video together so it makes more sense visually instead of hearing me say it, because I'm not always that good at explaining things. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on HR 1112. HR 1112, let me just tell you at a very, very high level what HR 1112 is, and you might want to look it up to see what I'm talking about. HR 1112 will pretty much create a system where you could be caught in limbo. You could be caught in that 30-day window that your background check, your existing current background check has a 30-day window where your background check is good till. If you have not resolved your situation with the ATF or the gun store that you're buying from within 30 days, that background check that you initiated when you went to buy that gun, it expires and you have to start all over again. Well, the problem is that with the HR 1112, it's using actual business days, and it can actually, because of the 10-day wait windows that they have implemented in there, there's 10-day windows to wait. It can actually push you past that 30-day window that the existing background checks are good for. Now, the new HR 1112 bill does not extend that 30-day window, which if it did, it could resolve its own problem. But by not extending the 30-day window, you can expire one day past it how can I say this? You can be cleared one day past the expiration of the current 30-day window. So even though you just got cleared, now you can't go backwards a day because yesterday your background check, the 30 days expired. So on that 31st day, they could say, okay, Paul, you can have your gun now. Oh, wait a minute. Your background check expired yesterday. You have to now submit another one. So now you create another one, and then you could fall right back into that crazy vicious cycle again to where you have to wait 30 days. And on the 31st day, you're cleared again, but they say, oops, yesterday it expired. You have to resubmit your 4473. I know it sounds stupid. I know it sounds like I'm wearing a tinfoil hat, but it's simple math. It's simple math. If they're not going to create a new way under the new HR 1112 to extend that day for another week, say, then they're consciously allowing this thing to expire, which could put you in a perpetual limbo state. Not cool. Again, in my video, I will put visuals out there. I will make it a little bit clearer because, again, I'm not good at explaining things verbally, and I will do my best to do that visually and verbally if I can. However, there is another bill, HR 1263. HR 1263. Guys, this is some crazy crap right here. HR 1263 would actually make you have to pay for a $200 tax stamp for AR-15s, AKSs, AK-47s, precision rifles, and any semi-automatic rifle that is capable of accepting a detachable magazine. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guns. 9 of the guns that you can see right now in this video, 9 of the guns, I would have to now pay a $200 tax stamp, wait for approval before I could pick my guns up. That's a HR 1263. We currently have, let me get to my screen here. There are currently 48. Wow. 5 more have been added since I looked at this yesterday. There are 48 gun bills out there. And I'm not going to say gun control bills because 4 of them, from what I counted last night, 4 of them are pro-gun bills, Hearing Protection Act, things like that. So let's just say 40 or more bills, anti-gun bills, have already been proposed, and we aren't even into our 3rd month of the year. We're partially through our 2nd month of 2019, and we have 40-something anti-gun bills already. Guys, this is crazy, crazy. Let me tell you a couple that are going to for sure pass. HR 8, they've added bipartisan to the law now. It used to be the Background Checks Act of 2019. Now they've added the Bipartisan Background Checks Act of 2019. You know why they do that? Because the majority, and I say the majority, and I truly mean this, it might be more like 40-something%, but I think it's more than that. The majority of Americans are too lazy and too stupid to actually do any real research to decide how they need to vote. You know how they decide they need to vote? Let me show you how they decide they need to vote. This is about as simplified as I can do it. This is how the average American decides what they're going to vote on. Let me show you here. Like this. This is Facebook. This is how the average American decides how they're going to vote. They're too lazy, or they're too stupid, or they're both. The average American is more concerned with who possibly could win next week's American Idol and why last week's contestant lost than they are about any of our gun laws and anything else. I'm sorry, that's the honest truth. You know it is. So by putting a word like Bipartisan Background Checks Act of 2019, that's telling the Republican voters who are too stupid to do any real research like we're doing that, hey, Republicans like this idea too. So your stupid Republicans, voters, look at that and go, good enough for me. It's good enough for me. We got Republicans that are voting for HR 8. It's a bipartisan background check bill, which means Republicans are voting for it. I'm good with it. Who won American Idol last night? That's what they care about. They don't, and you know what? That's the same person that'll go out and buy a t-shirt pissed off at the government tomorrow when this bill passes and they get their own rights infringed upon, and they stand on the street corner screaming at the top of their lungs asking what happened. This is what happened. You're too worried about what's coming on your little television set over there, and you're not paying attention to what's happening in real life. Pay attention. Just because they put the word bipartisan in front of Background Checks Act of 2019 does not mean it's okay. Let me tell you, it's got, this is funny. You want to see how they stack up? Co-sponsors, HR 8, the Bipartisan Background Check Act of 2019, has 227 Democrat co-sponsors and 5 Republican co-sponsors. Let me see if I can show you who those turncoats are. I will tell you who those turncoat Republicans are. Let's see here. Let me scroll down. Crap. I'm probably not going to be able to find it. Not. I'll find it. I'll find it and I'll share it with you guys at a later date. My point is, don't be fooled by these mushy little names that they put on these stupid bills, because they're all deceitful. And again, guys, you know my thoughts on the Republicans in Congress. I got no more use for them than Democrats. Just thankfully, a lot of the Republicans are getting enough money from gun lobbyists where at least they act like they care about what we're doing. I don't care if they're getting paid. At least they're voting the way we want them to vote, whether they want to or not. Pay them the money. I don't care. At least they're not complete turncoats. Marco Rubio, I don't know what's gotten up his butt, but I've about had it with him and his anti-gun ways. Somebody needs to vote his ass out of Florida. Another thing that I noticed, let's see. Let me find where this is. No, never mind. That's not right. I'm looking at some old information. Let's see. Let me get back to y'all's comments. I know I've been neglecting our friends on here for a couple of weeks now, and I want to get back and try to. We got 29 minutes left. I really want to try to hit some of y'all's questions and some of y'all's stuff that you guys are talking. So if you don't mind, we haven't done this in a while. Go ahead if you got anything to address to me, or you want to ask the group or whatever, and you want me to ask the group, put it out there, but put an @LegallyArmedAmerica. I know that's kind of long and tight, but if you could put @LegallyArmedAmerica, maybe copy and paste it to where you don't have to keep retyping the whole thing over and over again. But yeah, send some questions my way, and I'm going to try to answer them. I'm trying to read some of y'all's comments and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, just a couple of you guys that rolled in here a little bit later. Milspec Grunt, good to see you. Nooner Eclipse is in here. Let's see. I might have already said Roger Kaiser's in here. Jacob Galvin's in here. Warsaw Patriot, Brian Rhodes. Let's see here. Misfit Minuteman's in here. Robert Bunton is in here. Our guard is. MC1SK is in. 1SC is in here. Russell Evans, good to see you. Thy Staff, Thy Will is in here. Good to see you as well. And I might be caught up. Inspiration Horsemanship Buddy is in here. Hey, what's going on, man? NI9465 is in here. I think that's all the new names. I think I've Shark Chucker, good to see you again. Michael Norwood. I think that's probably it. I'm reading y'all's questions now. Misfit Minuteman asks, what do you think about the sheriff's elections coming up here in Lake Charles? What specifically, what are you asking? YNH says, you pick up any of the new P10s? No, I actually want to get my hands on the subcompact model of the P10. I have not held one. I have not shot one, but I have one of the compact size P10s, and I love it. So I'm interested to shoot the P10 subcompact. I have the P10C. I guess they call it the P10SC. So I'm interested in shooting that. In fact, I would probably carry it because in summertime, that's the size guns that I carry. I always carry a subcompact size gun in the summertime. Wintertime, fall, spring, I'll carry a full size, or not full size, I'll carry a compact size, the mid-size gun. And then in the summertime, I'll carry the subcompact size. So that's typically what I'll carry depending on the types of clothes that I'm wearing. Let's see. Jacob Galvin says, man, somebody's got a pretty good eye in here. Jacob says, what's the, I guess you're saying WIT gun? Kel-Tec shotgun looks new. You're talking about the gun right here. It's not new, but it's new on the wall. See, I try to throw you guys off whenever I can, but there's always a nice, clever eye that catches something sitting on the wall that's a little bit different. That's a DP12. That's the one that has the two tubes, very similar to the KSG and the UTAS, but it's a little bit different because the way you, I'm not sure how I'm going to like it. I don't like the way it looks. I take that back. I don't like the color of it. I like the way it looks, but I hate the color. I don't know if you can tell in the picture. In the picture, it doesn't look as bad. In real life, it looks kind of nasty. It's really just kind of an ugly looking tan, yellowish tan. Not a fan of it at all. I've talked to Mike from Blown Deadline, who does some awesome Cerakoting. He's going to actually take that gun and redo it. I told him, just do whatever you want. So I'm going to be getting that thing Cerakoted very, very soon. But it's really weird. You know, the KSG and the UTAS work a certain way, but that DP12, the way it works is you shoot one shot out of both tubes, like bang, bang, and then you rack the slide to send the shells out. And then bang, bang, rack the slide. I don't like that, because if you're in a high stress situation, are you really counting 1, 2, bang, or 1, 2, rack, 1, 2, rack, 1, 2, rack? I'm not. I can't see myself in a high stress situation being that conscious of how many rounds I'm shooting at a time, that I'm shooting pairs. So anyway, I'm just that's my point. I love the way it looks, just not in that ugly, weird color that it is right there. So it's going to look good at some point, because I'm going to get an awesome paint job on it. But I'm just not sure I'll ever warm up to using it because of the way it functions. I wanted that gun for a long time till I got it. It's crazy, though, because you can't really tell. Maybe you can tell. I don't know how big your screen is. It's got the really pointed stiletto muzzle devices on each end. So when you shoot it, I don't know if it's just the vibration of the gun or if any of the pellets are actually hitting the muzzle device, but it has a very high-pitched ring, like a tuning fork. It sounds like a tuning fork whenever you shoot it. It bing, like a real high-pitched ring the whole time. It's crazy. Anyway, I'll be doing a review on that once I get it back. Let's see. Ryan says, has anyone heard anything about Kentucky possibly going to constitutional carry? I have heard that. In fact, that's been in the news a little bit this week, about Kentucky putting forth a measure that's going to allow for the state to have constitutional carry for the whole state and not require any permits or licenses, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I hear that's coming. Let's see. YNH says, your P10C review is what turned me on to the P10C. I mean, I love it. I mean, the P10C is a great little gun. Oops, I went a little too far right there. Misfit Minuteman says, do you think we can get a Pro 2A sheriff? Any chance Tony will get ousted? No chance Tony's going to get ousted. I mean, I'm just being honest. He's not going to get ousted. Tony's going to win again. Tony Mancuso will stop being sheriff of Calcasieu Parish when he decides he doesn't want to be sheriff anymore. I'm sorry. I mean, he just is. And I don't know who all is going to try to run against him, but I know a lot of the politics going on behind the scenes right now. And Tony Mancuso has to be caught with his hand in a cookie jar, doing more than just what a rumor would say. Tony Mancuso has to be found guilty of something or caught on video something. If you just have a rumor and somebody's saying Tony did this, it's not going to matter. Tony has actually kept his parish extremely secure, and I know things about Tony that I can tell you this much. Tony is a Democrat, but let me explain something to you. Small town Democrats are not the same as federal Democrats. They're just not. I'm not saying all of them, but small town parties don't really matter. They honestly don't. I don't know how many people locally that I know are doing a good job that may or may not be Democrats. I don't know. They're not able to instill their party politics at a local level because they'll get bounced out. So Tony might be a Democrat. Tony doesn't do anything Democrat. Yeah. Tony's not going anywhere. I mean, I'll bet on it. I'll put money on it. He's not going to go anywhere. And don't ask me who I'm voting for, who I'm pulling for, or anything like that. I'm just telling you, Tony himself, this is my opinion, is not going anywhere. Ralph McDaniel says, when would you have to get the tax stamp? When you buy new or if you already have one? You're talking about, I would assume it's when you buy new. One of the things that I have noticed, guys, that a lot of these anti-gun bills are doing, because they're trying to get the support of gun people. They're using the argument that I have said many, many times. It doesn't matter how much you don't care about bump stocks. You should never openly say, I don't care if you ban bump stocks because I don't care about them. Well, the Democrats have seen how we in the 2A community have said, screw you. I don't use a bump stock, so I don't care if you ban them. Democrats are watching. So now the Democrats have realized that, hey, we can get pro-gun people, pro-Second Amendment people to back our anti-gun bills as long as we grandfather them in. So in other words, they're telling you, hey, Paul, we're going to infringe on everybody else's constitutional rights. But guess what? All the guns you have now, we'll let you keep them. We're just not going to let anybody else buy guns like you. So people who are complacent and don't care about their fellow countrymen would be like, they're not threatening to take my guns, so I don't care what happens to your guns, or I don't care what happens to your rights to be able to buy guns in the future because I got mine. I don't need any others, so I don't care if your guns are banned from you. I got all what I need. They're not taking mine. That's what's happening. So they're offering, the Democrats have changed their tune. The Democrats used to want to put these really big teeth bills out there and say, like the bump stock, that you can't keep your bump stock, that all of them, there's no grandfathering, everything's going to be banned. Now they've realized that, look, we can get these idiots out there who are pro-gun people to support our bill as long as we let them keep their guns. And that's what they're doing. A lot of these bills are allowing grandfathering in of your existing guns just so long as you go along with them banning everybody else's down the road. Watch out for that. Watch out for that. And be very careful to not walk out there and go, I get to keep mine. I don't care about you. Guys, that ain't right. That is one of the most selfish things that we can do as a pro-2A community, is to turn our backs on future gun owners out there. Because what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to sell them any of your guns, because every one of these gun laws that they're passing out there, they're trying to put these background check laws in that prevent you from making private gun sales. So there's going to be people in the future who will never in their lifetime be able to legally own an AR-15, because you're not going to be able to transfer that AR-15 because it's going to be outlawed. That's one thing that will not be grandfathered in. Just because you have an AR-15 doesn't mean that you can sell it in the future. Now you're going to have to do a full-blown background check, or it's going to be an NFA item to where somebody has to do a $200 tax stamp through a background check, waiting time, and then you can sell it to somebody else, or they may not even let you sell it to anybody else. But it's because we sat back on our laurels and said, it's not my problem. I got all the guns I'll ever need, so I don't care what happens. Come on, guys. Whether you need or want anything else in the gun community is no reason to sit back and let them pass these anti-gun laws. We got to be better than that, folks. We really do. And I'm not trying to preach. I'm speaking man to man. We can't just turn our backs on this crap and allow them to do these things because we're so complacent in our everyday lives that we don't care about anybody else from the future, or in the future, from the future. Let's see. Let me see here. Yeah. I'm reading, y'all's comments crack me up. Oops, I went too far. I hate when I do that. Sorry, Roger. Roger says that's a phoenix on my shirt, not an eagle. I call it the Trans Am Eagle. I wouldn't know a phoenix from an eagle. I do know that it's the Trans Am logo. How about that? The Trans Am logo. Let's see. Matthew Turner. Oh, cool. Matthew Turner says, I just put in a CNC machine for Judd Foster a couple months ago and got to talk with him. What an awesome guy. Judd's a good guy. Judd is one of the owners of Fostech, who make that Origin 12 shotgun, box fed shotgun right there. Judd is a very good friend of ours. Matthew, I wish you would have told him that that you were friends of ours on the show, because Judd is a very good friend of ours. A very good friend. In fact, Judd will be giving me, I'll be doing a video soon. They make an extremely light partial magnesium lower and upper, and I think a handguard too. So we'll be building a gun using their parts and Strike Industry parts very, very soon. Judd's actually giving us the parts to use in the video. So yeah, Judd is an old friend. We've hunted with Judd in the past. He's a very good dude. What you see is what you get with Judd. Fostech is a super company. Yeah, Nooner Eclipse says, how come we don't repeal and replace the NICS system? It's because anytime you want, well, first of all, pro-gun bills are near impossible to pass. We've seen that in the past, right? And that's what it would essentially be, a pro-gun bill. It would be marked as a pro-gun bill. They would call it a pro-NRA bill. So yeah, that's not going to happen. It is heavily burdensome, as you say, filled with mountains of endless bureaucracy and blatantly unconstitutional. It absolutely is. It's not going to change. It's already in place. Undoing an anti-gun bill is about like undoing welfare. Once you put a welfare program out there and you get people on it, you will never pull it back. It's never going to be undone. And the same goes for anti-gun bills. Anti-gun bills are very hard to undo. The only reason why we had that, quote, assault weapons ban bill of Bill Clinton go away is because it had a sunset on it. After 10 years, it just expired and it never got renewed. If they wouldn't have put a sunset on that bill, it would still be in place today. There would still be magazine capacity caps at 10 rounds, and you still wouldn't be able to buy, depending on the feature, an AR-15. It was only because it had a sunset on it. If you don't, they don't, and very few of these types of bills like this, you won't see another gun bill, another anti-gun bill. You'll never see one with a sunset on it again. That's never going to happen again. Very rare to see that in an anti-gun bill, but it happened in that 1996 or whatever, whenever the bill went into place. Very rare that it happened, and the fact that it did happen, you won't see it again in our lifetime. Not an anti-gun bill with a sunset. Any anti-gun bill going forward won't have any sunset, and it's going to be absolute until the end of time, which makes it even harder and really virtually impossible to undo. So that's kind of the problem right there. We just can't. You'll never be able to repeal and replace the NICS system because you'll be looked at as trying to undo background checks. So that's how it will be painted by the anti-gun left. Let's see here. Yeah. Galaxies 101 says a lot of the problems facing our country hinges on the fact that it's no longer a republic. It's now a democracy. Unfortunately, it's turning into a democracy and not a true republic like it was meant to be and designed to be. Matt Santos, and I'm just reading this for the first time, says, I'm fairly new to the gun community, young, and live in Canada. Yes, we have guns, including Armalites. Any tips for an advocate to make a difference? You know what I would tell you, Matt, if you're in Canada, I will tell you the best organization to reach out to that is very pro-gun and very on the front end of the pro-gun debate in Canada is Odell Engineering. That's O-D-E-L-L Engineering. Phil Odell, who is the owner of Odell Engineering, owns and operates one of the most awesome and coolest and biggest gun museums in the country in Canada. He's a super guy, and people whose guns have been outlawed by the government actually end up giving him, in many cases, like fully auto guns, like AK-47s are illegal up there. Well, but you can give them to a museum. So he's got all kinds of cool stuff in Canada that is not legal anywhere else in Canada, but he can have them. Full auto, everything. He's just got a ton of stuff like that. But he is also a very strong advocate for changing and revising the gun laws in Canada. So you would do yourself really well if you're a new gun owner and you're wanting to see some legislation change in the country, in Canada. Contact Odell Engineering. Again, Phil Odell is the owner, and super guy, good guy, and a hard-fighting guy for the Second Amendment. I say Second Amendment for pro guns up there in Canada. I don't know what friggin' amendment you guys have up there. It's Canada, right? Go figure. Canada is the home of Rush and Nickelback. One of the best bands ever, one of the worst bands ever. Go figure. So anyway, but yeah, Canada, I mean, you check with them. Check with those guys. Let me see. Nancy MR says, I'm still working on my Temple of Boom, only it's more like a room of boom. That's cool. What kind of board is behind you? That's what I want. You're talking about the panels? If you're talking about the steel panels, Gallow Technologies. And that's a shameless plug that I'm doing, but it's because they make the friggin' best panels. Before I got Gallow Technologies panels, I had it narrowed down between Gallow. Now, this is because I hadn't touched and felt their panels. I had only I'd done a Google search and found a company called Secure-It and Gallow. So at the time, I was like, they're similar. They both look metal, and I hadn't looked at the detail. And I was like, one's as good as the other. They look the same, relatively same. I knew they weren't identical, but they look very close to being the same. So I didn't care. And I sent both of them emails, and I said, look, guys, I'm building a Temple of Boom. And I said, it's going to have hundreds of guns in it. I need brackets, wall panels. I need everything. Can you guys, one of you guys, hook me up? And I told him, I said, I'm sending this out to another company also. Brent, the owner for Gallow Technologies, contacted me within a day and was like, what do you need? I was like, well, I need a lot of stuff. I mean, this is a 300-something square foot room up here. I need a pretty good bit of stuff. He goes, what do you need? So I told him, he said, all right, I'll send you that, and I'll send you all the hangers you need, all the brackets, and I'll send you a few more things, that you might need. About a week later, an 18-wheeler pulls up in my driveway and drops off a pallet at the end of my driveway. Brent sent all this stuff to me. 4 days after that, Secure-It contacts me and said, what do you need? I'm like, I got what I need. And I'm not one that's going to try to take from everybody, guys. I'm a very loyal person. And, you treat me right, I treat you right. So I was very honest with them. I said, don't send me anything. I'm good. I got everything I need from Gallow Technology. They're like, all right, well, if you ever need anything in the future, we'll be happy to help you out. Now, when I tell you Brent sent me everything, we're talking about at no charge. This man hooked me up probably as much as anybody's ever hooked me up before. I did the pricing. It's probably $7,000 worth of panels and brackets that he sent me. But he did this in good faith. So I got these magnets made with his logo on it, and I put it so that it's made, I make sure that my friends and you guys can see them out there because I'm so proud of their stuff. Because now that I've handled their stuff and I've gone to all these trade shows and I've seen Secure-It stuff, I'm not going to sit here and dog Secure-It stuff, but it ain't made like Gallow stuff. It ain't made like theirs, guys. I will stand behind Gallow. I'm so happy, and I don't mean to be petty about this. I'm so happy Brent contacted me before the other guy, because if the other guy had contacted me first, I would have gone with him, and then I would have gone to these shows later, and I would have seen that Gallow stuff was better. I'd have been pissed off and very disappointed in myself, but I would have been stuck with the Secure-It stuff because I wouldn't have turned my back on them. If they would have supplied the stuff to me like Brent has, I would have stuck with them. So yeah, very happy with Gallow Technologies. If you contact Gallow Tech, and this goes with any of you on here, if you contact Gallow Technologies, you make sure you tell them that you heard about us from Legally Armed America, because let me tell you something, you will not pay full price. Brent is such a stand-up guy. I've had many of my friends, many of our viewers that have contacted him and said, I saw your stuff on Legally Armed America, and he hooks them up every time. He either gives them free stuff, free hangers, or he gives them a discount that they're like, man, I wasn't even asking for a discount and I got one. So contact them. Gallow Technologies. You will not go wrong with those guys. You'll probably even talk to Brent. I mean, they've grown huge right now, but Brent's such a stand-up guy, such a hands-on guy. Many times he's the one taking care of all that stuff. Let's see, guys. Let me roll down here a little bit more. To the right, Tony Morano says, to the right of your head looks like a P08 Luger. What is the chamber date? I don't know. I will have to get back with you on that. Seriously. Thy Staff, Thy Will says, have you heard anything about gun manufacturers joining the fight against these bills? Man, you're not hearing a lot about gun manufacturers right now because gun manufacturers, they're extremely quiet right now. I think the bump stock thing has got a lot of these guys kind of scared. Yeah, I think there's some stuff out. There's some weird stuff going on out there. Matthew Turner says that Judd offered him 30% off anything Fostech on the site. That's cool. That's how Judd is. Chris says Franklin Armory over Fostech any day. Yeah, we'll agree to disagree on that. I've actually handled and shot all of their stuff on both sides of that. And I mean, I don't mean this to be disrespectful. We'll have to just agree to disagree. Zach Briggs says, hey, Paul, sorry I haven't been here. Work. Dude, you got to pay the bills. I mean, you can't buy guns on good looks these days. So I understand when people have to actually do that, man. I mean, it's tough. I mean, it's tough. We got to work to pay for this stuff, right? I mean, somebody has to. Patrick Franklin says, first time here. Love your channel, man. Thanks, Patrick. I really do appreciate that. A lot of our friends are on here. Anytime you get a chance to come on our live stream, you're going to find more and more people, awesome people on this live stream. I have a good time on here. Roger Kaiser says, thoughts on declaring a national emergency for the wall, considering a Democratic president trying to push gun control that way. I'm for the wall, by the way. I don't know, man. Trump is like, if you guys are rock music, you'll understand the analogy that I'm going to use here. Donald Trump is kind of like Gene Simmons of Kiss. I like Kiss's music, but I can't stand when Gene Simmons opens his mouth because he always says something stupid. I like Donald Trump and I like his policies, but goddamn, I wish he'd put that Twitter account of his away. I mean, the stuff he does, there's no point in doing what he does, you know. But at the same time, sometimes he says things and I'm like, you know, nobody else would have said that. So what are you going to do? I don't know about the national emergency for the wall. I don't think a Democrat president will ever be successful they'll call for a national emergency on gun control. But see, there's not a constitutional amendment that says we should allow anybody who wants to enter our country into this country without due process, or I shouldn't say due process, without going through the proper channels. There is a Second Amendment that says we all have the right to keep and bear arms and they shall not be infringed. So we do have the protection of an actual constitutional amendment that will keep any president from just saying it's a national emergency, we're coming for your guns. It's not going to work because it will immediately go to the Supreme Court. There's no precedent that's saying that anybody who wants to enter our country illegally has the right to do so. Not only is there no law, but there's no constitutional amendment for that either. So while I may not agree with Trump's method of declaring a national emergency, the same can't be said for gun control. That's just a threat by Nancy Pelosi. That's Nancy Pelosi's way of trying to rattle us and scare us as pro-gun people to turn on Trump. I'm not falling for it, to be quite honest with you. Again, there are plenty of things that I don't agree with Donald Trump on. This is not necessarily one of them. Let me scroll down a little bit more. Yeah, we're getting close on time too, guys. Yeah, I mean, Vash Matrix says it. Being invaded is a national emergency. It absolutely is. I mean, you know, let me just say this. Just because the left says that it's not a national emergency and we don't have people pouring over the border, doesn't mean people aren't pouring over the border. You don't have to go very far to find how truthful it is, the people and the class of people who are coming over the border. You know, that is a national emergency. And let me say this. I mentioned that there's no constitutional amendment allowing people to come over the border illegally. You know where there is a constitutional amendment? There actually is something in place that requires the President of the United States to protect our borders. So he's actually protected to do what he's doing. Nothing he's doing is unconstitutional. You hear people saying that he's declaring an unconstitutional state of emergency. He's actually declaring a constitutional state of emergency because he has every right to do so. It would be an unconstitutional state of emergency by the very definition of the Constitution to declare a national emergency against guns. That would be an unconstitutional state of emergency. Again, by its very definition, it would be. Exactly. Vash Matrix says it. Maintain and defend border is in his job definition. That's part of his job description. When he signed on, that's part of his job specifically. Guys, it's 8 o'clock. I'm going to get out of here. I've been drinking water right now because I'm down here in South Louisiana, for those of you that don't know. And I had boiled crawfish for supper. Boiled crawfish are finally in season. Actually, they've been in season for a couple of weeks now, but they've been too darn expensive. So yeah, I had boiled crawfish and about 4 beers. So I'm drinking water right now so I can sleep, because boiled crawfish is so loaded with water that I'm going to get dehydrated. So I don't want to drink any more beer. So I drink my beer with my crawfish. So I'm drinking water now. So real quick, Josh P says, what is your shirt? My shirt says Trans Caliber, and that is, let me say it, that's a Phoenix, but I call it the Eagle from the Trans Am, the Pontiac Trans Ams that Smokey and the Bandit, or Smokey drove in Smokey and the Bandit, along with my hat tip to Burt Reynolds, who passed away last year. All right, guys, I'm going to bug out of here. Hope you guys have a great weekend. As always, you know, shoot straight, stay safe if you're driving tonight. Hope you guys have a good time. You know, if you're drinking any beer, don't drive. Get somebody to drive with you. And I'm going to get out of here because I've got a little boy that I need to bathe and put to bed. That's my son, by the way. I'm just going to chill out for the rest of the night, because I have a long week. It's been a long week. It's been a crazy week in the gun community. And hopefully I'll be working on a couple of videos this weekend and put out there for you guys. And, you know, again, guys, I appreciate you hanging out with us. It's always good to have you guys hanging out with me. It means a lot to me that, you know, you guys will spend your Friday evenings with me. And, you know, I always try to, you know, do this best I can. So, guys, stay safe, be good, and we will catch you guys